Ever wonder how an entire country speaks with one voice on the world stage? It doesn't just happen in grand presidential palaces or parliaments. Nope, it starts in a classroom. Today, we're going to take a look inside Pakistan's Foreign Service Academy to see exactly how a nation's voice gets forged. I mean, seriously, think about that for a second. How does a nation of millions, with all its different views and interests, manage to communicate with a single, coherent voice to other countries? It's a huge question, right? And the answer isn't just about the person at the very top.
The real answer? Well, it starts on a much smaller scale. It all begins by carefully training one person, and then another, to represent the entire nation. It's about creating diplomats who can explain their country's position, navigate some really tricky negotiations, and, build those crucial relationships.
And that whole process of forging diplomats, well, it brings us to one very specific institution in Pakistan that's tasked with exactly this job. This is the Foreign Service Academy, or FSA, located in Islamabad. Think of it as the official training ground for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And get this, it means that every single Pakistani diplomat's journey kicks off right here. This kind of centralized training is absolutely crucial because it makes sure everyone is on the same page, projecting a single, unified message for the country. So the Academy's story really starts with Pakistan's independence back in 1947. A brand new nation desperately needed a professional diplomatic corps to find its place in the world. It actually took until 1981 for the FSA to be formally established to handle that training. And fast forward to 2015, and its work was being officially praised as very valuable. Okay, so what really goes on inside the walls of this academy? Let's take a closer look. The FSA is basically juggling two big missions at once. First, and most obviously, it trains Pakistan's own future diplomats. But its second mission is just as important. It acts as this international hub, training diplomats from countries all over the globe. And that's not just some academic exercise. It's a powerful tool of soft power, building relationships and influence that go way beyond the classroom.
All right, so let's start with that first mission, training Pakistan's own diplomatic corps. What does that curriculum actually involve?
For the Foreign Service of Pakistan, the FSP, training isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a lifelong process. New officers kick things off with a specialized diplomatic course to learn all the fundamentals. But it doesn't stop there. Seasoned diplomats actually come back for a mid-career management course to sharpen their skills for more senior roles. It's all about continuous development. Okay, now for that second mission, the one that really turns this academy into a truly global classroom. Let's see how this helps build a whole network of international cooperation. And wow, the scope of the FSA's international outreach is vast. They offer everything from junior-level courses, sometimes even mixed in with the Pakistani trainees, to advanced courses for senior foreign diplomats. But what I think is really telling are the programs tailored for specific regions or countries, like for the SAARC and African nations, or even special courses for diplomats from places like Afghanistan and Iraq. This is diplomacy being used as a real tool for building regional relationships. The numbers really show the scale of this dual mission. Since 1981, along with running 49 courses for its own officers, the Academy has also conducted 21 separate, distinct courses just for international diplomats. I mean, that's a clear, serious, long-term investment in its role as a global diplomatic hub. So what's the big takeaway here? What does all of this mean for the future of Pakistan's diplomacy? Let's pull all the threads together. This brings us back to that powerful quote from Tariq Fatemi, who is the special assistant to the Prime Minister. He said this at a graduation ceremony back in 2015. It's just such a clear endorsement of the Academy's central role in shaping the nation's entire foreign policy machine. But what does a valuable contribution actually look like in practice? Well, one of the best examples is how it's shaping a more modern and inclusive foreign service, specifically by actively working to get more women represented in diplomacy. And you can see this has been a long journey. It started with trailblazers way back in 1952, like Begum Rana Liaquat Ali Khan. By 2007, women made up about 11% of the ministry's officers. And today, the FSA is right at the heart of this progress, making sure that the new generation of diplomats is more representative of the nation itself. 11%. Let that number sink in for a moment. Now, yeah, that statistic is from 2007, but it's a super important benchmark. It's a tangible result of decades of change on the road to a more representative diplomatic corps. And all of this brings us full circle, right back to our final question. We've seen how a single academy trains individuals, but the impact is so much bigger than that. It shows how these deliberate, dedicated institutions are really the engines that build a nation's identity and its influence on the world stage. It's a great reminder that a country's voice isn't just something you have, it's something you carefully, methodically build.